All right, what up, what up, what up? Erin Coscarelli back with you. Welcome to Bleav in Rams, presented by FanDuel. You know me alongside my guy, Tyler Dragon of USA Today, and joined to give us some inside scoop on what's going down, the 411 when it comes to the Rams. Ryan Anderson, he is the executive editor and senior writer on the Rams beat for the LAFB Network. Gentlemen, how are we?
Doing good. It's great to have you on, Ryan. I haven't met you before, but it's good to talk Ram shop with you after a kind of a disappointing uh, Week 13 game from the Rams. But hey, that's why they play football, and it was a cross country trip. But hopefully, the Rams will get a win this week in Arizona.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about this bounce back, which should be a win, which kind of sounds like last week.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully get right game against Arizona. I know I'm a little delayed. Stick with me here. Hopefully this will be okay. But yeah, so the Rams take a tough L on the road, 31-28. And they were 10 and a half, double digit favorites. It really is a surprise that this ended up happening. And I think before we kind of move the ball forward, I'd like to get the take, from both of your perspectives, and what you guys kind of had a chance to see now that we've had a few days to process all of this. Ryan, we'll start with you since you're our guest. What stood out to you the most when you think about, sort of what ended up happening Sunday morning, 10 a.m. kick for LA?
Yeah, I was really surprised and shocked with the defense. And, watching the game, you could tell they were sticking with the run, 35 runs, I believe, for the Carolina Panthers in that game, just 24 passes for Bryce Young. So really, controlling the clock, controlling the tempo of the game was the name of the game for the Panthers that week. And, can every team do that? Does every team have the patience to do that? That's the big question. But it seems to be a game plan that is working against the Rams. Go back to the loss against the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, a lot of fluky things happen in that game, but that's kind of Kyle Shanahan's MO, I would say. So I think Canales took a page out of the book of Shanahan, which is a good book. And we're able to kind of, look at the third quarter. Only a minute and 15 seconds, 3 plays for the Rams. Kept it out of Stafford's hands and mitigated the defense. And, I think it's really fascinating. It was fascinating to see the lack of adjustments from the defensive side. They have a fastball. Do they have a curve? Do they have a changeup that will, if a team is able to and willing to stay patient and stay on the ground and pick up, 5 yards per catch, you can beat this defense. And they don't really seem to have an answer for that so far.
Well, listen, Erin, I know we kind of discussed it last week when we were talking about it on the phone this week. It almost happens it does happen every single year when a West Coast team goes to the East Coast or East Coast team goes to the West Coast. We see it where the traveling team, the visiting team, a lot of the times they don't play up to their potential. They kind of lay an egg. I've seen it multiple times this year. And that was the case with the Rams. Cross-country trip to North Carolina. They played like it was a 10 a.m. kickoff. Stafford, we were lauding how he was taking care of the football, not throwing interceptions. He had 2 interceptions, a fumble lost. Anytime you lose a turnover battle and you have 3 turnovers, especially at the quarterback position on the road, most times you're going to lose that game. And you're right, Ryan. The defense didn't come to play. Bryce Young was pretty comfortable back there. Those 2 fourth down conversions that led to points. I mean, we don't see that often from a Rams defense, but this was a desperate Panthers team, mind you, that is going on a bye this week, but really needed to win to keep their playoff hopes alive and to stay running NFC South. And the Rams traveled cross country and went up against a desperate team that pretty much had to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. So I wouldn't put too much stock in this game. I mean, the Rams are still one of the best teams in all of football, not just the NFC. It was just a bad game, a bad timing, bad environment to go up there in Charlotte to play a really desperate team. So I wouldn't put too much stock in this game because we see it almost every single year when a visiting team travels across the country.
Yeah, no, and certainly it's not lost on me. This team was so hyped this week. Right now they dropped down to the 2 seed. The Bears are the 1 seed. Some questions of whether people consider this to be a trap game. I didn't see it that way. I thought Carolina put on a show. Bryce Young taking shots on 4th down and it working out to his advantage. We talked about it, Ryan, you and I, after the game, how much they miss Quentin Lake, right? Their run defense, they got gashed on the ground, 164 yards. I think the positive spin on something like this, Forbes didn't have the best game after I saw the Fox pregame. People, I think it was Strahan saying he's the best DB in the NFL right now. I think take the L now, which we talked about. Take it early. Let's regroup and let's learn from what this game showed. And a lot like what you said, Tyler, an East Coast kick, 10 a.m., inclement weather. There was a lot that I think this team needed to learn now before the postseason and any more divisional games present itself, right?
Yeah, and then maybe the Rams will have to travel in the postseason. Hopefully, we'll see what their seed ends up like. We saw it last year. Maybe if they would have played a home game against the Eagles, they might have won that game. But the good news, Arizona this week, a very short trip, almost like LA southeast, southwest, I might add. So, I mean, I don't think the Rams will have any problem against the Cardinals. And then this could be a trap game too, because the following week, the Detroit Lions team, another desperate team coming into SoFi Stadium. But before the Rams get there, they have to take care of business in Arizona, which is probably going to be against Jacoby Brissett at quarterback and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the outside. But this is a Cardinals team that does certainly play hard, and they're better than their record indicates because they lost a lot of one score in close games.
Yeah. And, one of the things that before we really dive into Arizona, one of the things, Ryan, you said on X that I wanted to talk to you about that I think is interesting is that you posted the Rams have scaled back their usage of 13 personnel since Tyler Higbee hit IR, but it remains the more effective package based on EPA/play. Can you kind of dive into your perspective, your analysis on that?
It really opened up the Rams offense when they got 3 tight ends onto the field. They came into the year wanting to use 12. We saw plenty of that at training camp when we were out there. But it turned into 13 and it was working. And then Tyler Higbee goes down and they have scaled back, particularly against the Panthers. We'll see if that trend continues or if that was just to address that heavy rushing attack. But it really opened up the offense, and I'm really curious about what McVay has to say about how that feels for him, because he loves to pass the ball. Going back to that Super Bowl winning year, they had no running game. They were just slinging it and hoping that nobody intercepted the ball. And I think that's where he likes to live, honestly. But they elevated some tight ends. They've moved some guys around, but Tyler Higbee is kind of the perfect middle ground between a pass catching guy and a blocking tight end. And they're kind of missing that. Colby Parkinson has improved. Davis Allen certainly has improved as a blocker. But still, Terrence Ferguson, not quite there yet as a blocker, definitely more as a receiver. So it's interesting. We'll see how it manifests itself in this game in particular, what the game plan is, but they had to scale back. They were down to about 10 10%. Which is a big low.
Yeah, you mentioned the fact that they're missing Tyler Higbee, who obviously he's on IR right now. And yeah, it was definitely their wild card that surprised a lot of defenses. And I had asked you that too, Rye, which was maybe defenses are keen more in, but you seem to think it's less about the defense and more about the actual guys on the field. And one of the things that I saw that was really interesting was someone was sort of reportedly suggesting the underwhelming opportunity from Terrence Ferguson, the rookie. Do either of you agree with that? I see you shaking your head. Yes, Tyler.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he deserves more opportunities. He's made flashes, certainly this year, few and far between, I might add. But I mean, especially with Tyler Higbee injured, I feel as though the Rams should give Terrence Ferguson a little bit more opportunity. I feel like we've been singing the same tune with Sean McVay and second, third round picks for the last couple of years. Blake Corum last year, Aaron, we were kind of clamoring and begging Sean McVay to maybe have a two-headed monster in the backfield with Kyron Williams. Now that's kind of coming to fruition this year, but I would like to see the tight end position more involved with the Ferguson.
Yeah, getting Corum more involved was certainly a bright spot. And we talked about it as well, that awesome block by Jordan Whittington. Just some sort of misfires, obviously, coming out of Matthew Stafford that I agree with. What he did say at today's presser is he's really good at having a short-term memory and moving on to the next game. And that was what Sean McVay said. He said, as Bill Belichick once said, we're on to Arizona. Obviously, he said it about Cincinnati. But let's move on to Arizona and finally kind of put week 13 to bed and sort of talk about week 14. When you think about the Cardinals, I don't know if you normally think Jacoby Brissett, but this is a team that does like to air it out. Where do you see this sort of game going in the favor of the Rams, knowing it's Jacoby Brissett time, and that they are 3-9, right? They're 3-9 right now. Ryan, why don't you kind of share your initial thoughts about Arizona?
Well, I think, to start with the positives about this 3-9 team, eliminated from the playoff contention as well. So don't have that same desperation. Is they've got some guys in the back end that can create turnovers. They have 17 turnovers so far this year, which is in the top 10, which we know, that those are game-changing plays. And, if Stafford has another game similar to last week, that can truly affect it. They've got about one pass rusher, maybe 1.5 pass rushers, depending on how you count it up. Josh Sweat's having a great year, 11 sacks. So the defense is feisty and interesting. And as Tyler mentioned, they're keeping a lot of games close. They've had one-score games against some really talented teams. They've also dropped some stinkers out there. So a lot of inconsistency across the board. On the offensive side, they've lost, James Conner. I think if James Conner was in this game, if he was in this year, I think the year would look a lot different for this team. But offensively, Marvin Harrison Jr. is going through it with some injuries. I was just reading some quotes from their head coach saying he's just not moving quite right. So, that's kind of your number one offensive threat. Jacoby Brissett has actually been better than I thought, but the left side of his line is just allowing a ton of pressure. So it's going to be a long day for him. And I've already forgotten their running back's name, Bam Knight. He's not Rico Dowdle. He's not Chuba Hubbard. So, I mean, it's going to be tough sledding for this team, but, I don't want to get ahead of myself. I don't want to go over my skis and say that this is a walkover game. If they're able to create those turnovers, make some things happen on offense, and that's where I'll bring up Trey McBride. I'm always curious about how the Rams will handle tight ends, especially now without Quentin Lake, playing the slot. So Trey McBride's having a great year, and so that's there are things that can tip the scales in this one, but it seems like the pass rush is really going to be able to get after Jacoby Brissett, and quarterbacks like him just kind of fall apart under that kind of pressure.
So, first of all, you guys jinxed me with all this tight end talk. I was looking down at my phone because one of my sources just reached out and said that Mark Andrews signed a 3-year extension. So that's why I was in the looking down at my phone. So shout out to Mark Andrews, 3-year extension with the Baltimore Ravens. But yeah, Trey McBride, tight ends, that's going to be a tough matchup for the Rams. He's having an excellent season with the Cardinals. One of their few bright spots on offense. I mean, you look at his statistics, he's probably going to end up in the Pro Bowl this season. And when you look at the Cardinals across the board, yes, they don't have a very good record, and they've lost a lot of games. They've lost 4 straight, but like I said, they are competitive. And Coach Gannon has this team playing hard, playing, inspired football, and they're going to play with a lot of pride, even though they're not going anywhere this season. So the Rams can't look at this game as a trap game. And I don't think Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and company are going to look at it as a trap game, considering that they just lost to the Panthers and knowing what's upcoming in front of them in the weeks ahead. But this Cardinals team, they're at home. It's going to be a hostile environment in Glendale, Arizona. But I'm not too worried that the Rams are going to go in Arizona and lay an egg, especially coming off a loss last week.
You look at the comments from the locker room after the game. I mean, especially Kobe Turner, just inspiring. Go listen to that, everybody. It's on their YouTube for sure. But they're going to be. I think they're going to come out with something to prove and get it done.
Yeah, definitely a teaching moment for the younger guys, because I agree with you. I don't think McVay looks any further than this week ahead. In fact, he was asked, about the 1 seed today, and he just said, "I don't care. I don't care where we are. I care about how we play the following week, right, or that week." And he does try to teach that to the young guys. And it just seemed a little bit like they were flat-footed. So I can't anticipate, which, by the way, on FanDuel Sportsbook, I'd like to get both your guys' take. Tyler, what do you think? 8.5-point favorites. We were here a week ago saying, 10.5 on the road favorites. No big deal, NBD, but, 8.5 on the road in Arizona. I'm leaning. I don't even think with them having still so much to prove in this, I think it's going to be within a touchdown.
Wow. Well, I feel like the Rams are going to win by 10, and that's not a knock against the Cardinals. Josh Sweat's having a good year on defense, one of the league leaders in sacks. And yes, Marvin Harrison Jr. has been banged up, but he's kind of blossoming into the receiver that we all expected to be. And Jacoby Brissett, I mean, he's one of the fine backup quarterbacks in the league and making Cardinals fans forget about Kyler Murray. So when you look at all that, considering it's, an away game, yes, I can see the 8.5 one score. However, to me, the Rams, they have a bad taste in their mouth after last week, and they see that the number 1 seed in the NFC is within their grasp. Nobody really thinks the Bears are going to keep that position, even though the Bears are having a fine season, been one of the surprising teams in football. So knowing what the Rams have in front of them, and the experience of losing on the road last year to the eventual Super Bowl champion Eagles, I think the Rams are going to refocus, reset, as you've seen at practice today, Aaron, and going forward. So I expect the Rams to kind of put up a statement in Arizona.
Yeah, I'm going over 8.5 as well. I mean, it's a big spread, but I think there's just a big talent deficit between these two teams, and they can play lights out, but I don't see a lot of offense out of the Cardinals team. And I mean, I think Tyler said the most important thing. I mean, this team is raring to go. I mean, that bad taste in their mouth is that's put perfectly. So, yeah, I mean, if I'm wrong, we got another conversation to have. But yeah, I think this should be handled pretty easily for the Rams.
If the Rams do lose this game, though, it's almost time it won't be time to push the panic button, but knowing that they have the Lions and the Seahawks coming up, like this is a very important game that the Rams need to have, considering who they have in the weeks ahead, especially when you're jostling for playoff positioning.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they lose this game, the number 1 seed really drops out, down to into the under 20%, according to the Athletics playoff modeling. So, I mean, it's still an important game for the Rams. So they should come out playing real hard and tough.
It feels like after this game, if they lose, every game thereafter feels like almost like a must win, because like you said, they play Detroit, then they play the Seahawks, then they play Atlanta, and then they finish with the Cardinals, right? So, I mean, again, obviously it really depends. I think I got that right. I think it all, and it just depends on how the rest of the division does. But right now you're neck and neck, 9-3 with the Seahawks. So it's like, and we've talked about this, any given Sunday, going up against a division rival in the Arizona Cardinals. Not that they sort of didn't take the Panthers seriously, but one of the things that I think this team struggled with was sort of not having momentum on their side, dealing with the noise and the adversity. And I'm not just talking about the crowd noise. When Stafford threw those picks, or or Carolina came up big with momentum, it just felt to me mentally that this team just, right? How did you guys see that? It just seemed like they didn't come out strong enough where the turnovers, or they even had any that gave them just, you know what I'm saying, Tyler? You know what I mean? Like the momentum or the energy to kind of get back confidence.
Yeah, and I alluded to it earlier. It looked like the Rams played tired and played like they were half asleep, like it was a 10 o'clock game. I mean, they just couldn't get over the turnovers, but they just came out lethargic. They didn't come out with energy, didn't come out with juice. And some of that I blame on the players, especially the young players, reading their own press clippings. Before entering last week, everybody was talking about the Rams are the best team in football, myself included, talking about the Rams are the biggest threat to win the Super Bowl. The Rams are the best team in the NFL, best team in the NFC, number 1 seed. So you're reading all that, and you're traveling across country to the Carolina Panthers, a team on the rise, but nobody thinks the Panthers are for real. Mentally, you're probably going to think, okay, we just got to go out here, show up, and we're going to win this football game. But the Panthers had other ideas. They were a desperate team, a team that really needed to win in the thick of the playoff race, trying to not only win a division, but stay alive in the wild card. They're at home. They had all the energy in that game, and it showed in all 3 phases, particularly on defense, how they were able to get after Stafford, how they were able to force takeaways. Offense, going for it on 4th down. That's the sign of desperation. Going for it on 4th down, going for touchdowns on 4th down. I mean, they were the more hungry, the more desperate team. So you have to give them credit, though, because they absolutely really needed to win, and they played like it. And the Rams, this wasn't a must-win game for the Rams, and it was a game where they came in feeling themselves. And it's partly our fault because we were giving them the stuff to read too, saying they're the best team in the NFL right now. So I look for the Rams this week to have a bounce back game.
Oh, I was just going to add, the plan had always been for the Rams, put up 21 points in the first 2 quarters, and then kind of coast for the rest of it. They came into this game, got punched in the mouth early, weren't able to do that, and weren't able to respond. So similarly, defensively and offensively, you got to keep pushing, keep going.
Okay. And I think that this has been such an interesting season to watch a team that had so many ups and downs from coming into the season to, like you said, feeling themselves or being confident or maybe overconfident. There's a lot of themes that I think are going to matter should this team make it to the postseason, that they're going to rely on some of these things that happen early in the season, mid-season, and make a big difference for the maturity and the development. Real quick, and I know we need to wrap. Jacoby, as you guys mentioned, playing better than Kyler. How do we foresee the future of this quarterback controversy looking like?
Kyler's gone.
I don't believe it was a controversy. I think Kyler, like Ryan said, this is his last year in Arizona, and he'll be wearing a different uniform coming next season. Cardinals going to have to eat up some money. Maybe a team will help absorb some of Kyler's contract, but what I'm hearing is his days in Arizona are numbered.
Yeah. I mean, he seems to be jealous of Marvin Harrison's height or something. He just doesn't want to never wanted to get him the ball. I'm not sure what that was all about, but yeah, I mean, they're playing better without him, and he's just an inconsistent quarterback with very high ceiling and a very low floor. So, I think, and you can see with Jacoby just playing a little bit more consistent ball.
Yep, absolutely. Kyron Williams, Cam Kitchens, Omar Spites will be limited in practice. Davante Adams, Darius Williams, Poona Ford won't practice. McVay expects all 6 of them to play against the Cardinals. And so that's a wrap for us, guys. I appreciate Ryan Anderson of the LAFB Network joining us today, a Rams beat writer. You do some great video content as well. How can people find you on the socials?
RL Anderson, LAFB on X. That's about the only one I do. Everywhere else, just look for Rams LAFB, LAFBnetwork.com. All my writing, all my video, all right there.
Love it. I love it. FanDuel Sportsbook has the over-under at 48.5. Real quick, over-under. Ryan?
I'm going to go under.
Ty?
I got under 2.
All right, I'm going over. We'll see. All right, you guys. Ryan Anderson, Tyler Dragon of USA Today. Please go check out his work on usatoday.com. That's a wrap for us. I'm Erin Coscarelli. Thanks for tuning in to Bleav in Rams, presented by FanDuel. Bye, guys.